Hi, and welcome to the Revive, Thrive, and Optimize podcast. I'm Billy Weiss, compounding pharmacist and health and wellness expert. And today I have across from me Bill Sherman, not Janet. I guess you can probably look and see that's not Janet. But Bill, we're glad you're here.
We got the same hairstyle.
Yeah, and you are good friends with Janet, right?
Yes.
How long have you known Janet?
Probably 10, 12 years.
Okay, so a long time.
Yeah,
right.
I've known her family for a long time.
Right. Well, I appreciate you being here and taking time out to come and tell us your story.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me, we met how long ago?
About 8 years ago.
All right.
And through Janet, yeah.
Yeah.
And yoga.
Right.
You and your wife.
Right. So what has changed in the last, 4 months or so?
Well, I've gotten older.
Yeah, you have.
Thank goodness for that. The last 4 months, I guess a little previous to that, I began to notice some issues, some what we discovered might be autoimmune kind of responses. And it was concerning because some friends of ours also at that same time discovered that she had lupus. And we began to look at what autoimmune meant and what the causes were and how do you treat it and what did the doctor say and what did research say. And what we discovered was that so many things that we suffer from are because of autoimmune responses. So we tried to figure out what that was. And so it looks like that maybe some of the things I've suffered with historically is like reflux. What we discovered 5 months ago was Sjogren's syndrome, along with other things that our friends of ours had, some issues. And we'd been on your supplements for a good while and good responses. I had a period where I was anemic. Iron deficiency. And so I got on your iron supplement and took care of it. The doctor wanted to send me to the hospital and get intravenous kind of, injections and all that kind of stuff. And I said, let's try this. We were already on some of your supplements, but we were still leading the same lifestyle we had 15, 20 years ago. Well, in conjunction with what we learned from you and adding the supplements to our diet is also some lifestyle changes that tried to minimize at least 6 things.
Okay.
Alcohol and caffeine.
Yep.
Seed oil.
Yep.
Processed sugar, gluten, and lectin, because I was big into vegetable and fruit smoothies in the morning. Frozen blueberries, frozen strawberries, got to be good for you. So I would blend that up and have a smoothie every morning. Get me like caffeine. Got a good jolt. I was ready to go. But we decided that maybe because what enabled me to do that was omeprazole.
Yeah, so you were on a drug to help your gut, to help your reflux, your heartburn.
Exactly.
Okay.
What I think happened is that because I was on it for 25 years.
Okay, 25 years.
And I think it allowed me to continue with a poor food choices and a lifestyle that probably wasn't very healthy. And recently found out it wasn't, but, we can get into that later. But in conjunction with going into a full-blown program that you prescribed with supplements, we decided that we would also try to change what we were eating. I haven't had a soft drink in 45 years. I'm thinking, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Which is probably a good choice. I don't smoke. I do drink beer. So what we decided 1st of July was that we would commit because we knew we had a gut issue. We wanted to begin a journey of deciding how we fix that. And your recommendation with the probiotics and the digestive enzymes and the other supplements in conjunction with changing our diet then we're on this journey to discover what's causing our problem. After, a week or two, a month in, I was miserable. Reflux was still an issue. Taking the enzymes, but I stopped cold turkey the omeprazole. And I was miserable for about 4 weeks, but I stuck with it. And the enzymes I was taking was quite 4 or 5 a day sometimes.
Right.
And I would still have to do a Tums.
Right.
Occasionally.
To get some relief.
But what I'd done 25 years ago, I was eating 6, 8, or 10 Tums a day.
Okay.
And the doctor introduced me to omeprazole. I thought it was a miracle drug. Now I can do whatever I want to. Well, anyway, so long story short, we started on this early July. After 4 weeks, I began to feel better. It took 4 weeks.
Okay.
The reflux, much less. The Sjogren's still flares up from time to time. But the more we stayed on this journey of the supplements and the enzymes and the probiotics, we discovered that we would get up in the morning and I could find, I could find my energy level returning. I still have a piece of fruit in the morning.
Sure.
But it wasn't blended. It was
whole fruit.
Whole fruit.
Right.
We'd have our protein shake for lunch, and then we'll have a meal in the evening. The protein shake satiated my appetite.
Yeah.
Because I had a real sweet tooth. And to eliminate processed sugar just the way we did was a challenge. Didn't know that I was addicted to processed sugar the way I was.
Right.
So after 4 or 5 weeks, we begin to say, well, this is great. We're feeling better. Reflux is beginning to diminish more. And the foods that we were eating, we decided that we would introduce maybe a few things back. It's kind of like, I went to an allergist many years ago because of seasonal allergies that I had. And he said, there may be some foods that you need to. So we're going to eliminate several foods and introduce, one here, one there, just to see. That's what we're doing. We're introducing certain foods to see what might be causing the problem. Because I think we've discovered for sure that seed oils is not a good thing.
I'd say that's number one on the list.
And we look at going to restaurants, try to figure out how we can go out to eat somewhere, and you really can't.
Really hard, isn't it, to avoid them?
It is. It is. So after 5 or 6 or 7 weeks, the improvements came. That was encouraging. But like I say, 4 weeks of some real reflection.
Well, I got to commend you for sticking with it because I'll be honest with you, it usually doesn't take nearly that long. But the fact you'd been on omeprazole 25 years.
Yeah.
And we talked about this with Lydia, but, you're never supposed to be on those drugs according to drug companies more than 12 weeks because of side effects.
Right.
So, yeah, I hate that you had to go through that 4-week period of adjustment, we'll call it.
Yes.
Most people do not have that experience, but for you to be able to stick with it and get through it and now see the improvement. So you said it took 4 to 5 weeks to start to see the improvement. So where are you today now that we're four months or so in?
Oh, much improved. Much improved.
Okay.
And I shouldn't say that 4 or 5 weeks. There was some improvement, minor improvements, incremental improvements all along the way.
Okay.
Today we're 4 months in. I can't imagine going back to omeprazole to allow me to have a lifestyle or a food choice that just was unhealthy.
Right.
I told you before about a colonoscopy and endoscopy, a recent one that had some terrible results with polyps. And I don't know that, you go online, you read things, you try to learn about it. ask people like you, ask other doctors and people, and try to get several different opinions on what's going on. So whether it's true or not, some research told us that omeprazole may have been the cause of all the polyps that I have in my stomach, not necessarily in my colon.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that as we continue on this journey and clean up whatever may be causing the autoimmune, that we'll be able to, I'll be able to see less and less autoimmune responses. And I'm having minor ones. There's people that have serious autoimmune problems.
Oh, yeah.
Mine are minor. Inconvenience.
Right.
Not life-threatening. But I don't want it to get to be life-threatening. And you and I have talked about before that quality of life that is real important. And the older I get, the more important it becomes. So I'm looking for a quality of life, not necessarily. If I lengthen my life, so be it.
Right.
I just want to have a good life.
Yeah, you want to enjoy life while you're here, right?
Somebody else is in charge of the end.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I love it, and I like the fact that you were able to stick it out and get the improvements. You say it's much better now. What else have you? Do you still need the caffeine in the morning to get your energy? What else have you noticed?
I think two main things that I've noticed. One is that the craving that I didn't know was really a craving. After 4 or 5 or 6 weeks, it goes away.
Mm-hmm.
The sugar, the caffeine, the alcohol, because I enjoyed beer.
Mm-hmm.
And there may be a time that I'll enjoy another one.
Right.
But no time soon. Especially until we travel down this journey a little bit further to see how the body is going to repair itself. Because that's what we're trying to do. My last resort would be a prescription. Wouldn't eliminate it out of the, for consideration, but right now I'm on nothing.
Yeah, I love it.
When I went to get the medical people, when I went to get the colonoscopy and the endoscopy, they were surprised at my age that I wasn't on any kind of medication whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I told them about the omeprazole in 25 years, but I had been off of that since early July. And that was your recommendation that said, and I'd tried it before. I'd tried to, because I just didn't feel like that was the right thing to do on a continuous basis. Mm-hmm. Tried all the little apple cider vinegar and all the other little things that you read about that says if you do this, and tried it, and it was just miserable. The only way that I could get off of omeprazole was with your digestive enzymes, the probiotic, in conjunction with some lifestyle changes.
Yeah. Well, it's again, the fact that you were willing to take that consult, put it all into play, stick with it through some tougher times. And now that you've gotten the results, you said something to the effect you couldn't ever imagine going back, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So your energy's better. You don't have to have the caffeine. You don't have the craving for the caffeine. You say your sugar cravings have diminished greatly.
Yeah, almost gone. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and that's the beauty of this is if you stick with it, your body will adjust, and it will tell. If you were to eat something really sweet, really sugary, I bet that you would have a reaction that you wouldn't like. It's what most people tell me.
I had a little bit of wine a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't like it.
Really?
I mean,
okay.
it was great while I was having the wine.
No, I understand. Yeah.
Later, it was not good.
Not good. Yeah.
Well, in the same thing with changing lifestyle, with making choices about supplements as opposed to medications, I just feel good about that mentally. Before I ever get to the physical part of that,
yeah,
I like the idea that I'm taking control of of my health so that, I can feel better every morning when I get up. I have fewer aches and pains. I mean, at 70 years old, I'm going to have aches and pains. I'm not going to eliminate them all. But if I can minimize some of the life bumps and bruises that you get, the surgeries, the breaks, the whatever we've all had some of those. We've been able to minimize some of the pain that we've had. The back issues, got a herniated disc I'm dealing with, and the Inflazine has been very helpful.
Great.
And the supplements, we're going to keep our labs going so we know what we're lacking and what we need to add. The multivitamin. Your foundational 4 is going to be something that we'll continue to work with.
Awesome.
And then add what we need.
Right.
For that.
Right.
At my age, prostate is an issue.
Right.
And so we're going to maintain those kinds of things just to maintain a quality of life.
Right. No, I love it. And, one of the things that I think probably does shock when you go in for a test like that or go to the doctor and they ask you what drugs you're on, it's very, very unusual. The average senior is on 7 to 8 prescription meds. So when you say, yeah, I'm not on any, I mean, you are a rarity to them.
I got a lot of satisfaction out of being able to say that.
Yeah,
just
one of a few.
Just because I could say that, I'm going, well, that's pretty good. And I like I say, I can't imagine going back physically or mentally.
Right.
One.
Well, and I know that you and Lydia stay active. So the fact that you say, hey, my aches and pains are better, my bumps and bruises are minimized, I mean, that allows you to continue. I mean, I know you exercise, you're out and about, you're not sitting around, you're doing stuff.
Well, I weighed 185 pounds on July the 1st.
Okay.
And we were active then as well. Right. But as I discovered that seed oils and gluten and some other things that I don't handle very well, that I was able to because of the omeprazole, I was just munching away. 185 is as much as I've ever weighed before in my life, and I weighed this morning as 168 pounds.
Okay.
So I don't feel like I've lost any muscle. If anything, I've gained some. Had to have lost fat.
Right. And we'll do a repeat in-body sometime and show you that, so we can show you exactly that. But you would know. If you'd lost muscle, you would know, because I know you're active and you're working out.
Don't feel like I have.
Well, and you're getting your protein in too now, right? You're getting more protein than you were when we met before we met. So I'd suspect, that you've lost 17 pounds of fat, which is obviously a really good thing. And I don't imagine that hurts your feelings a whole lot, does it?
No, not at all. Not at all. I was surprised because I didn't do it to lose weight. I was fine at 180, 185.
Right.
It just happened.
Yeah.
Without
I tell people it's quote side effect of doing the right thing, right? I mean, is that your body will be leaner, stronger, you'll carry less fat, you'll carry more muscle. I mean, it's just what I like about what you said is how you feel good mentally and physically about not being on drugs, but taking control, taking the supplements. I mean, I'll summarize. That's kind of how you put it, is that now you're just allowing your body to do what it's naturally supposed to do, because all the drugs, almost every single drug out there, is designed to block an enzyme or block a receptor that is naturally found in the body. And so now you're allowing your body to work the way it's supposed to work.
It's doing what it's. I'm listening to my body more.
Correct.
Than I did.
You're what I call it is you're being a good detective. You're being a good CEO. You're figuring out what works, what doesn't. And I love the fact that, hey, you can still have that fruit in the morning. You just kind of changed it up a little bit, right? But you still can enjoy, if you enjoy your berries and stuff, you're still able to do that and not have the reflux and not have high blood sugar and burn off fat. So it's about making changes and then trying to make changes, though, I tell everybody that you can live with, right, long term. We don't want to do this for 4 months and then go, oh, I'm going to go back to what I was doing.
No, I think it's a journey that life is a journey anyway. But
Correct.
It's interesting. The further the journey goes, it's interesting to look back. You know, you can't live by looking back, but you can gain some wisdom.
Yes.
By looking back.
Yes.
And then look forward to the future.
Yeah.
And so that's I think that's my biggest gain here is as much mentally as physically to just feel better about me.
Yeah. Well, I love it. And I love, we ran into each other at the farmer's market. I don't know how many weeks it was after we had met, but
4 or 5.
Yeah. And I just knew, I could tell how much, and you were telling me how much better you were doing and how much better you were feeling and how much better your energy was.
I'd gotten over the hump at that point.
Yeah.
It was 4 or 5 weeks after we started.
Right.
And Lydia has another word for it, but I'm going to just say that I was probably not a happy camper for
the first few weeks.
Yeah.
Well, I'm certainly, like I say, I'm glad you stuck with it. I'm glad you were willing to take time to come here and tell your story, because I think it's important for people to understand that it's not always all bells and whistles from day one. For a lot of people it is, but for you, obviously, it was not. But again, two and a half decades of cutting off the acid pump that's supposed to be working. It just, for whatever reason, your body took a little more time to adjust.
I think that's exactly what it was. And
But we've talked about how the average prescription drug, and you've heard me say this, has 398 side effects. And some of the really more, I'll call damaging side effects that can happen from long-term use of that type of drug is, mind issues, Alzheimer's, kidney issues, heart issues, bone issues. So the fact that now you've been able to get off and you're giving your body good nutrients and you're eating better food and you're drinking good water and you're exercising like you were already doing, I'm assuming you sleep well?
I'm struggling a little bit with, all men do, prostate.
Yeah.
And an enlarged.
Right.
And that creates a lot of getting up in the evening.
Yeah.
So I sleep better now than I did before.
Okay, so it's improved some.
It has improved, maybe more than just some.
Okay.
But I still have to get up.
Yeah, I understand. If we can minimize that, though, you're right. Every man at a certain age, it just, I don't know. That BPH is hard to completely avoid as we age, unfortunately. We do what we can, and we try to minimize it. I tell people, if we can have you getting up once or twice instead of 5 or 6 or whatever, if we can cut down on it, it's better than it was, right?
Oh, much better. The prostate support that we're getting, that I'm taking daily, has been helpful.
Good.
And at the same time, I'm trying to drink more water. So I got to balance that.
I understand.
I got a lot of intake, and so I'm trying to figure out maybe if I drink a little bit more in the morning, maybe a little less in the evening, and that kind of thing. So anyway,
that's it. You gotta. I was gonna say, you got to play around and see what works for you. That is one good strategy, though, is at a certain time every evening is to say, okay, I'm gonna stop that now, so I can try to not have to get up as many times, for sure.
Exactly.
Can help. And we've used that strategy with a lot of guys, for sure. Even women sometimes, but mainly men, unfortunately, for that issue. So, Bill, what would you want to tell people that are listening? What's the most important thing you think you can tell them about this journey, or about what they need to do for their journey?
Well, for me, and it's patience. I'm not necessarily a patient person. I like to, but I'm learning to be. And have patience with your choices. Have patience with experimenting with what's going to work for you. It's a quick fix society that we live in, and I'm guilty of that as much as anybody. But this is not a quick fix. For me, it wasn't anyway. And so it's continuing to improve. It's continuing to be fixed. And so I'm going to continue to have patience. And I think that that's the big thing. Another thing is to have a great wife that supports you, that can explore with her cooking. And she's helped me change some of our choices with foods, and she's been very patient with that as well. So if you have a partner to help you, I think that that's the other thing, that you can support each other as you go through the process of change.
You know what, Bill? I think that's so important what you just said there, because if Beth and I weren't on the same page, it'd be much harder for me to do this when we're eating 99% of our meals are what we make.
Yeah.
And if she wasn't participating in that, it'd be really hard. So that is an excellent point. And I'm glad that you have Lydia and that I have Beth and Don and Janet have each other, so having both teammates, we'll call them, on board with the same plan
absolutely
is a huge part. That out of all the people and all the answers, nobody has brought that up. So that's a really, really important point, I think.
Yeah, she's been a great support system for me, and I couldn't be any happier with where we're headed.
Yeah,
we're going down the right path at this point.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for
doing
having
this today.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
All right, thanks, man.
Thank
See
you.
ya. Bye.